Hello friends and welcome back to lesson number 5. This is the 7th video of this lesson and we are studying inclusive growth. We have already studied friends about the definition of inclusive growth, what it means, what are the different aspects of inclusive growth, what are the features of inclusive growth, and what are the challenges to inclusive growth. We have also seen the difference between economic inclusion, financial inclusion, and also inclusive growth, how financial inclusion is a part of economic inclusion. So all these different things we have already studied up till now. In this video we'll focus on a very particular topic and which is also mostly debated. You will be reading the newspapers and also watching the current affairs almost every day. So you will find articles where there will be a debate or there will be arguments about whether inclusive growth is achievable under market economy or not. Okay, so market economy is basically an economy where the economy is based on the factors like demand and supply. So with minimum government intervention, which is also known as the laissez-faire. Okay, so in economics terms, such a policy where there is minimal government intervention, it is called laissez-faire, and the market forces of demand and supply by the consumers and suppliers determine the prices and quantity of supply. So whatever is happening in the market is determined by the market forces. So such an economy is called market economy, and there are certain features of such an economy, and we see that many a times if the economy is left open to market forces, then we may not achieve the goal of inclusive development, because the poor will be left out. The poor might not get the support that they are supposed to get, because it might not be economically feasible, or that might not be equilibrium that is achieved in the market if everything is left to purely market forces. So government intervention is very much necessary in order to achieve inclusive development. However, it is a debate. Some people say that market economy helps government to achieve inclusive development by giving them more taxes, by by creating jobs in the economy, because if there is entrepreneurship, if there is if there are industries growing, private sector growing, then obviously people will get jobs and the size of the economy will increase, and automatically it will trickle down to the bottom also. So it is obviously a debate in the subject of economics. Friends, let me tell you one thing, that there is no right or wrong. Okay, every answer is right, every answer is wrong also. It depends on from what perspective you are looking and what are the actual situations in the economy. So you need to look at the actual situations also, because what is true for America may not be true for Japan. What is true for India may not be true for America. So it depends on certain situations, circumstances also. So there is no right or wrong answer. It is always a debate. So there are pros, there are cons, there is for and there is against for every argument. So let us see in this video how market economy and inclusive development are related, whether market economy can help achieve inclusive development or not. But before that, as I have told you, let us understand what is market economy, what are the principles and challenges of inclusion in market economy. So a market economy, as I have told you already, is based on supply and demand with minimal government intervention. So it is purely left to the market forces, and there is very less government intervention. It promotes competition, efficiency and innovation. So these are some of the features, principles on which market economy functions. However, economic inclusion remains a challenge. So this I have already explained to you why it remains a challenge, because everything is left to the market forces, to the private sector. So economic inclusion or inclusive growth may not happen because the market equilibrium might be distorted. It might be in favor of rich people. It might be in favor of such a resource allocation where it is not equitable, which is whereby we are not able to achieve the economic and social justice. So that might happen. This we have seen when we in the previous lessons also, when we are studying about welfare concept, the concept of welfare, right? So now why is it so? Why market economy is a challenge for economic inclusion? What are the reasons? So one is obviously income inequality. So market economies, they tend to widen the income disparities as wealth accumulates in the fewer hands. So again, there is a efficiency versus equity debate here. Okay, so it might happen that the market equilibrium that is achieved results into more income accumulation in the hands of wealthy people, okay, in the hands of few people, and taking it away from the poor people. So income inequality will increase because of that. Then lack of access to credit, as we have seen that credit or financial inclusion is very essential for achieving economic inclusion or economic growth. But in India, we see that there is lack of access to credit. This is a reality. Practically speaking, credit availability is still a challenge. Marginalized communities, they often struggle to access financial resources. So this is a reality. Unless and until we change this, unless and until we give access to credit to the poor people practically, achieving economic inclusion in market economy is difficult, because in order to do business, you need credit, you need money, right? So even if poor people want to be a participant in the economic growth process, they won't be able to do it unless and until they have access to credit. Then structural unemployment is another big issue. As I've explained to you, what is the meaning of structural unemployment? Basically, this happens when the structure of the economy changes. So when the new sectors are coming up, modern technologies coming up, and again it is market driven completely. So at that time, the unemployment that happens is called structural unemployment. So automation, new technology, and market driven efficiencies may displace low skilled workers. So people who are not skilled to take up the new jobs, new technical jobs, and to cope up with the change in technology might lose jobs, and such an unemployment is called structural unemployment. Again, there will be widening of gap between the rich and the poor, or the more skilled and the less skilled. Then market failures is another concept. So market does not always operate perfectly. There are obviously market failures. Now, what is the meaning of market failure? Basically, whenever there are externalities. What is externality? Externalities are basically the benefits or the losses that happen in the market, which are not accounted for, or because or for which the price is not paid. So such forces are called externalities. Example of this, so externality can be positive and negative externality both. Positive externality is basically an externality where the price that you're paying for a particular commodity gives more benefit than the price. And for the negative externality, the price that you pay causes damage than the benefit that it is doing. Okay, so this is a very crude definition of externality, not very pure economic, because we are teaching it to the people from non-economics background also. So example of positive externality is education. Okay, so see, if somebody is say paying rupees 1000 per month to go to the school and achieving education, so this 1000 is obviously giving benefit to that student, okay, who is paying 1000 per month to go to the school and get the education. But at the same time, since education will impact positively on the student's life, so he will become a good citizen, he will become a good son or a good daughter, right, or a good neighbor. So that will benefit other people also, for example his parents, for example his neighbors, his friends. So since education will improve his personality, will improve his thought process, his mentality, his mindset, so other people in the society also benefit out of it. However, they are not paying anything for it. So they are benefiting out of it, but they are not paying anything. Only the student is paying 1000 rupees per month to get the education. So such is an example of externality. Similarly, negative externality example is pollution. Okay, pollution that is coming out of the factory. So factories, they are producing, they are getting money for the commodities that they are selling, but they are not paying anything for the environmental pollution that they are causing. So it is an example of negative externality. Okay, so because the exact benefit or the exact loss that is happening in the economy is not paid for, it is called market failure. Okay, so essential services like healthcare and education may not reach low income groups without state intervention, because there is positive externality. It may not reach low income groups because they are not able to pay. Also, environmental degradation may happen unbridled, which is an example of negative externality. Now let us look at the role of private sector in skill development and corporate social responsibility. CSR is basically corporate social responsibility. So private sector also supports inclusive growth in the sense that it helps government in development of skills, and also by supporting various projects through corporate social responsibility. Okay, now how it helps in skill development? First is that companies, they invest in vocational training programs, they bridge these skill gaps. Okay, example is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, whereby industry relevant training is provided, and many private sector, they participate in these activities. They provide active support to the government in providing training, industry relevant training to the youth. Then various CSR initiatives, which is corporate social responsibilities, they contribute to education, healthcare, rural development. Example, IT firms in India fund digital literacy programs in our country. Many of the PSUs of the government or many of the big companies, okay, they Reliance, okay, so they have their own wing whereby they do a lot of social projects. So Reliance has a Reliance Foundation, then Adani Group has an Adani Foundation. So all these big companies, corporates, they have their own wing also, whereby they do all these social projects. At the same time, they also contribute directly to the government projects also through this. Then PPP models, okay, which is public private partnership models. This is another way through which the private sector can contribute to achieve inclusive growth, in the sense that they help develop training centers, employment initiatives. So very good example of this is World Skill Center in Bhubaneswar of Odisha. Okay, so this is developed by the government of Odisha by taking relevant support from the industries also. So World Skill Center, whereby people partner with the government to provide training to the people in this center. So now let us move forward and see how SEZs and ease of doing business promote inclusive development. Again, this is another relevant issue to discuss here. SEZs are basically special economic zones, whereby government gives a lot of financial and tax benefits to the companies to do their business, especially to promote exports and manufacturing in the country. And ease of doing business, how they promote inclusive development. So SEZs, they attract investments, especially foreign investments, and create jobs. So once jobs are created, meaning inclusive growth can be achieved. India's SEZ contribute 23% to total exports and have generated an estimate of 17 lakhs jobs so far. So see, it is a big number. So poor people have got 17 lakh jobs so far through SEZs. Now ease of doing business, once it is improved, obviously new investment will come, new companies will grow up. We need to bring such reforms whereby ease of doing business will improve, and such reforms may be like through online processing, single window clearance, simplified compliance. They encourage MSMEs, small companies which employ large segments of workforce. So as I have told you, MSME is very labor intensive. Okay, it is very labor intensive. So if we support small companies, micro, small and medium enterprises, obviously it will lead to inclusive growth. So if you see, friends, all these topics are very much interconnected, which we are seeing in mains. So in mains, all the topics are almost interconnected. You need to have an open mind and you need to do a lot of cross referencing also here. Okay. Then FDI and SEZs, for 100% foreign direct investment in food processing industries, support agro-based employment in rural areas. So this is another example how private sector can help inclusive growth. Now let us look at what is the critical view on balancing profit with equity. So as we know that the private sector, they work for the profit to maximize their profit, but at the same time we also have to achieve the goal of equity in the economy. Equity meaning that people get a fair share in the economy, fair share of opportunity, fair share of income, fair share of resources. Okay, so that is equity. So balancing corporate profits with social equity is a very, very complex task. Okay, it is not very easy to balance the motives of the corporate sector, which is to maximize their profit and also to achieve social equity. So government has a very big and complex task in front of it, because they have to attract investments also, they have to make lives of the corporates easy also, at the same time give social and economic justice to the poor people also. So it is a complex task to balance profit maximization versus social responsibility. So these are the two conflicting goals that are coming here actually. So while businesses, they seek profit maximization, excessive cost cutting can worsen inequality. So if they want to maximize their profit by cutting wages, by getting more work out of the labor, by giving them very minimum benefits, so it can worsen the inequality that is present. So social responsibility and profit maximization, it is we need to balance this. Okay, then there is a concept called ethical capitalism also. So companies, they adopt fair wages. Big companies, you may be seeing that they have their own charter of ethics, whereby they pay fair wages to the labor, and not they don't loot labor in that sense. Environmental sustainability also they maintain. As I have told you, environmental pollution is a negative externality, so for that they do environmental sustainability also, in the sense that they adopt technology which are more greener. Okay, so the practice by doing plantation, by helping government improve the forest cover, etc., to achieve long term stability. Okay, so by treating their waters before releasing into rivers, by treating their air before releasing it into the atmosphere. So all these factors are coming under ethical capitalism, again, which can lead to economic inclusion, and also at the same time environmental sustainability also. Then taxation and regulation. Government interventions like progressive taxation and labor laws help balance corporate gains with social welfare. So there are a lot of labor laws to protect the rights of the laborers, because laborers are poor, they don't have that much bargaining power, so government need to interfere there. Okay, so that the the capitalist people, they don't do excessive kind of injustice with the laborers. So there should not be injustice with the laborers. So for that, government should intervene, and there are labor laws for that. Similarly, there is progressive taxation. We know that progressive taxation is a taxation whereby the richer are getting taxed at the higher rate. Okay, higher rate than the poor people or the low income people. So that is progressive taxation, so that there can be better income redistribution. So income redistribution is also another way through which inclusive growth is achieved, by giving welfare benefits to the poor people. Now, how market economies can integrate inclusive policies? Now let us come to this most important and final question: how market economies can finally achieve inclusive growth? What policies it can integrate? Now the important point is that by giving subsidized credit and financial inclusion, as I have told you that financial inclusion is very, very important to achieve economic inclusion. So example of this is Mudra Yojana. They provide collateral free loans to small businesses, so that they can grow, they can get access to the credit. Then progressive taxation is another policy, by taxing the richer people with higher tax rates, and welfare programs by giving pensions, by giving them education, healthcare, different kinds of welfare programs. Redistribution mechanism ensure social security. Then social enterprises and impact investing. So market driven solution to poverty. So there are a lot of market driven solutions also, such as microfinancing, giving people small loans. Then fair trade initiatives, they enhance inclusion. Okay, so these are some of the practices which come under social enterprises and impact investing. Okay, now let us look at another aspect which is known as cooperatives and PPP. So cooperatives is another way through which economic inclusion can be achieved, and also through public-private partnership. Cooperatives are what? Basically, cooperatives are the bodies whereby group of people, especially like farmers, laborers, they come together and they have a collective bargaining power. So they empower the local economies. Example, Amul in Gujarat, by pooling resources and ensure fair pricing. So they have a collective bargaining power by which they can do a better business and they can have a better deal for themselves. Okay, so Amul is a successful example of cooperatives. Then public private partnerships, PPP, they help in infrastructure projects. For example, Hamara Sadak model, where private firms, they build roads and the government collects the tolls. Education, healthcare expansion also, so highway projects, education projects, healthcare projects through PPP, schools and hospitals, laboratories, skill training, etc. So many different things can be done through public private partnership. So in conclusion, we can say that a market driven economy can be inclusive. We can achieve inclusive growth through the market driven economy, but we need to have regulatory safeguards to protect the laborers, to protect the poor people, for income redistribution. So we need to have regulatory safeguards in market economy. It can't be completely left open. Then there should be private sector responsibility also. They should have a sense of responsibility as well. Okay, with them, they should adopt to ethical capitalism, so that there is not excessive deprivation or injustice of for any class. And at the same time, we can also adopt cooperative models, thereby giving a collective bargaining power to the people, so that they can get better price for their products, better deal for their products, for their services that they are providing. And obviously there are other ways like public private partnerships, FDI, skill programs and CSR initiatives, which can drive sustainable and inclusive growth. Okay, so I hope this topic is clear to you, and if any question comes around this, you can have a lot of points through which you can justify as to how market economies can help achieve economic and sustainable goal, and what are the arguments for and against it. So with this, I hope you have understood. We'll continue inclusive growth in the next video also. Thank you.